Dude, why is this guitar so awesome? Is this forest haunted? I better look around.
Oh, hey. I just kind of flashed in there. Who are you? This place is haunted, you know.
Yes, I see that.
But hey, you know, I mean, it's not that bad. It's haunted, but it's a good sort of haunted.
Where did my guitar go?
Haunted.
Well, that doesn't really seem like a good haunted. I mean, like, I love that guitar.
Yes, guitars come and go, but it's good haunted because it's haunted with knowledge. This is the forest of knowledge.
Yeah, I've never heard of that. Wait, is that my...
Yeah, it definitely is. But you know, since you're here, what do you want to know? We can talk about anything except, you know, the guitar.
Okay, how about literacy and history, with a subtopic? Language and meaning.
Oh yeah, that'd be great. I love history stuff. Behold, it is Mentuhotep, the first pharaoh of the Middle Kingdom. You know, history stuff. It's kind of slow. The mummy. Anyway, literacy and history, language and meaning. Here we go. In today's culturally and linguistically diverse classroom, teachers have to differentiate and work with students at all levels of ability and support all of them so that they can work with grade level content and academic vocabulary.
So, like, they should be trained in techniques that draw on functional linguistic constructs?
Okay, wow, yeah, that's pretty much it exactly. You have teachers who are trained to talk about language and content, and that enables students to learn language and learn through language as they read and write in the history classroom.
Or outside the classroom?
Yeah, right. I mean, outside the classroom too, what you'll see is that the skills you learn in one area can be applied to other areas. Awesome.
Have you heard about the history project at UC Davis?
Wow, okay, yeah, I mean, totally. Mary J. Schleppegrell, Stacy Greer, and Sarah Taylor all put together an article on it for the Australian Journal of Language and Literacy. Wow, well, let's refer to that history project at UC Davis as the UCDHP, all right?
Sure, whatever. So, the UCDHP is part of a larger project in California to maintain history teacher networking communities to help improve student literacy.
Exactly. Part of that student literacy movement was to improve discipline-specific reasoning. And from that, a new program, Building Academic Literacy Through History, was developed.
Nice name.
Agreed. Yeah, it's extremely classy. The program has been run since 2003, funded by state and federal grants. Whoa, hey, not time yet.
Sorry. This forest of knowledge is interesting.
Well, it's the forest of knowledge, but yeah, it is pretty interesting.
Did this history literacy project ever deal with the use of functional grammar strategies to help teachers engage students in extended conversation about the meaning of the texts they read?
Yes, students need to work with academic language in school, which is something that they are not generally used to.
Academic language like analysis, summarize, class struggle, textual clues.
Right, it is using different vocabulary, sentence structure, and grammar to talk about topics in school. When the students get better at reading and understanding it, then they get better at writing it.
But, wait, can't teachers just simplify the texts?
Yes, some do, but that does not help students engage with more complex structures or help them in their cognitive development.
But history texts can be so wordy.
Which is why teachers need to help students get past that barrier on their own, you know? Give them the tools and confidence to handle denser texts.
Hey, that would probably help students reach grade level standards. Can I have a chair too? The ground is dirty.
Well, I mean, yeah, but I mean, it's dirty with knowledge.
Please?
Alright, there you go. The log of knowledge.
Thanks.
No problem. But even going beyond the grade level standards thing, history writers inevitably bring some sort of worldview with them when they write history. And so having this conversation about the language choices that an author makes, helps teachers and students get more out of the reading.
Talking about the way an author has constructed a text encourages conversation about what is included and what is left out.
That's a great quote. And yes, so the UCDHP drew upon the theory of systemic functional linguistics, or SFL.
SFL? Is that just a fancy way of saying that word choices affect meaning and can reveal author intent?
Ha! Yes, that's pretty much it. SFL offers a meta-language, or a language for talking about text. So talking about the text helps students learn the content, in this case history, and just about language more generally.
So how do teachers in the UCDHP learn how to do all this fancy analysis?
I'm going to answer that, but first. And boom.
How did you do that? Wait, is that a pirate ship?
Well, how is because you're in the forest of knowledge, and imagination is a type of knowledge, I think. And yes, that probably is a pirate ship.
Cool.
Pirates aren't actually very nice. I don't know if you know that. But anyway, so how do UCDHP teachers learn how to help students do all these things? Well, usually they go through like a 5-day training session where they would learn how to better use vocabulary, guiding questions, and learning activities.
So the goal of the workshops is to have teachers themselves better understand the function of language in history texts.
So teachers work on activities that focus on the meaning relationships between words and different sentences, and then they take apart the sentences to focus on their more meaningful parts. Teachers call this breakdown sentence chunking.
That sounds disgusting.
Well, I think anyone who's ever cleaned out an old sippy cup of milk would probably agree with you. Maybe sentence clumping or something would have been better, but
So does this chunking help students deal with reference devices like pronouns, demonstratives, and synonyms?
Well, yes, it does, and it really helps them recognize all parts of speech. It helps students understand and recognize sentence patterns and academic language. All right, I feel like this is a good time to bring in Sarah Taylor, who attended one of the summer institutes and helped write that paper for the Australian Journal of Language and Literacy.
Hello. Hi. We were just talking about reference devices and sentence structure in history texts.
Oh, that's the coolest. At one of the UCDHP institutes, a teacher said that he finally figured out that students were getting answers wrong because they were confused about the reference devices, and so they didn't recognize who the history textbook was referring to.
Yes, I can see why that would be a problem.
Yeah, it was a problem. Speaking of problems there.
Are those pirates?
They are definitely pirates, and they are definitely getting closer. It's time to go.
Whoa. Where are we now?
The Roman Empire. Far out.
Yep, the Romans love to make straight roads. And in the article, Sarah gave examples of her functional grammar strategies from her unit on the fall of Rome.
Yes, I did. The class and I started with just one paragraph. I scaffolded some sentence chunking and reference device strategies into a whole class activity. I found that after this, students were able to pick apart sentences for their meaning on their own.
This sounds pretty cool. Do you have any examples?
You know that I do. Just let me get off this chest. Treasure.
Oh yeah, that's mine. Say goodbye.
So we would start with a clause to finance Rome's huge armies, and then we would break that clause down into its main parts. You can see this one is a bit confusing because the actor doesn't show up until the next clause.
What is the next clause?
The next clause is, its citizens had to pay heavy taxes.
So, its citizens is the actor in both clauses?
Precisely. And the pronoun, its, has to be linked back to Rome in the last clause.
Yikes. History texts are really wordy.
Especially to students who aren't used to academic vocabulary, or English as a language.
Yeah, the rest of the paragraph is broken down in the article. It's important for students and teachers to discuss the reference devices and to whom or to what they are referring, so that at the end, when you go back with a discussion question, they're able to sort of analyze and figure everything out.
The discussion questions should link back to the text they just read, but also maybe lead them to make some inferences.
It's important to note that this pattern of actor, action, receiver is not the only one found in history texts, but it is seen again and again by students, so it's helpful for them to practice with it.
So students working with these patterns begin to better understand the language and the meaning behind the word choices in the history texts?
Right. What I found is that students were able to do this sort of analysis on their own after we had practiced it. Even in later units they would refer back to this pattern.
It's important to remember that Sarah's experience here is just one example of many. But the central common feature is that teachers are talking about text in new ways that connect a language with meaning and enable students to engage with text that they formerly found too dense, abstract, and challenging.
Other than anecdotes, is there any evidence that the Building Academic Literacy Through History program is working?
I know this is anecdotal, but I had students show greater progress and for the first time start using thesis statements and clear conclusions all backed up with evidence.
Actually, a 2-year external evaluation found that even with limited implementation, the students who experienced the modified curriculum improved more than those who did not.
Can I go now? I already know all this and those Roman guys are creeping me out.
Of course, yes, those guys are sort of weird, but thank you, Sarah Taylor, for sharing your knowledge with us.
Bye. So struggling students don't need a simplified curriculum?
Exactly, they do not. What they really need are the right strategies to analyze the texts that they are reading.
I feel so knowledgeable. But, how do I get out of the forest of knowledge?
Well, actually, that's pretty easy. Because the forest is in your mind. Flash out.